Well, it wasn't easy, but Syracuse comes out on top to beat USF 56-48. Coming up on Orange Press Pass, Syracuse overcame a 13-point deficit to beat the Bulls. We'll hear from Jim Boeheim, our analyst, and we'll give you all the platinum you can handle because you're not sick of it yet, please. All that and more coming up on Orange Press Pass. Welcome inside to Orange Press Pass in the Orange Television Studios. My name is Krista D'Amore. I'm alongside John Nolan and Ben Fontana. Guys, I was going to wear my platinum blazer, but Nike didn't give one to me, so...
Yeah, but Nike, throw us some dollars. We'll change our name to Platinum TV.
Yeah, look at this. I don't know. I don't want to talk about him.
Well, something we can talk about. Another close one. Are you guys surprised?
Yeah, I am, because in the first half, it kind of seemed like SU had given up making field goals for this Lenten season.
Yeah, this isn't your grandmother's or older siblings' USF team. They're pretty good. They actually might make the NCAA tournament this year, so it was a close one.
Well, going into this one, Syracuse was looking farther ahead to the Big East tournament. To clinch the #1 seed, they had to beat USF, and Notre Dame had to lose to West Virginia. Well, Syracuse did its job, but West Virginia did not. Notre Dame beat West Virginia, so now to clinch, Syracuse has to win one more game. And looking at that USF matchup, Syracuse wins 56-48. Scoop Jardine leads this one with 15 points. 13 points from CJ Fair off the bench, and USF started with an 18-5 lead. The only other time this season that the Orange trailed by double digits was at Notre Dame.
But you knew this Orange team would make a run. It's had at least a 7-0 run in every single game this season. And tonight, for the second time this year, they had a 23-0 run, and that really helped change a deficit into a pretty big lead for a while.
Yeah, both teams went on big runs in this game. One guy not in the box score there. Fab Mello had 6 blocks in this game to go along with a kind of sultry 4 points, but turning it on the defensive end, it's pretty good.
You know who else is sultry? Jim Boeheim. Here's what he had to say after the game.
We didn't get off to a good start, and they took control of the game. I guess it was 20-9. Next time I think it was 31-20. I don't know if that was right or not, but it was. We really, I thought, played great for that period of time. Established the lead, and came out in the second half and really got off to a great start. And then we made 3 or 4 errors that we usually don't make, and let them back in. And to their credit, they took advantage of it. They're a tough physical team. I thought the game came down to Chris made 2 unbelievable rebound efforts, physical rebound efforts inside to get the ball back on his drives, and made the 2 plays of the game right there. And then we made a couple good defensive plays, but I thought he made, he's having a bad game, and when you're having a bad game, you just got to find a way to make a play, and he did. Scoop made a big play on a drive and 1 play. Our defense was good. We've been in these games all year, and our veteran guys have made plays coming down the stretch for us, and that's how you win these games. But offensively, it's been a little bit of a struggle shooting the basketball, and tonight was one of those games. We've got to play at this pace. We're going to be a lot of games like this ahead of us, and we've got to be able to play at this pace. But we've made the plays in all of these games. It's very unusual to every time you get into a 1-point, 2-point game to be able to make plays. It's very hard to do. Not a lot of teams can do it, and we've been able to do that. And that's why we've put ourselves in this position.
Wow. Coach Boeheim is cheery as ever, but you know what? Syracuse shot 34% from the field. I don't blame him. How did they win this game?
Well, obviously they didn't win it with the high-flying offense that we've seen oftentimes this season, but even though the open shots weren't falling, you can still control how you play on the defensive end, and that's what we saw out of the Orange tonight. 11 steals, 9 block shots, and South Florida, their point guard, Anthony Collins, had a pretty good game in the points and assist category, but he finished with 8 turnovers. The Orange really caused some havoc for USF. They had that intensity there on the defensive side for the full 40 minutes, even when the offense struggled.
Yeah, talk about a guy like CJ Fair who scored in double digits in the last 4 games in a row. He had 5 steals to go along with it too. But a team that's really struggling offensively has got to score buckets timely, and that's what SU did. They scored buckets to stop runs and to really get back in this game. Like guys like Chris Joseph scored a couple of big buckets that Coach Boeheim talked about that really stopped the USF runs and helped USF win this game.
Well, speaking of timeliness, at the end of the first half was one of those moments. Was that the turning point of the game?
Yeah, absolutely. Around 4 minutes left to go in the first half, Sean Noriega for USF checked in. Coach Stan Heath had him in the game because it's a little more, he's a shooter. They wanted to spread out the floor. And what happened was they switched to a zone defense versus their tight man-to-man. So that allowed guys like Scoop Jardine and Dion Waiters to really drive to the basket and allowed SU to go on that big run going into halftime.
But even so, USF stuck around in this game and was there in the final minute. So what it came down to was late game execution. And Ben, while USF, their last few possessions at turnover, missed three-pointer, the Orange's seniors really stepped up. SU ended the game on a 9-2 run thanks to Chris Joseph and Scoop Jardine. They scored 7 straight points for the Orange. And so that's what ended up being the difference, the late game execution.
Well, John, Ben, we'll hear more from you later, but first we're going to take it over to the Carrier Dome, where Citrus TV's Bill Spalding was there. So, Bill, you saw these jerseys in person. To me, they looked kind of gray, but how'd they look out there?
Well, Krista, those uniforms were certainly something to look at. Platinum jerseys with really, really bright orange stripes down the side. But the most impressive part of the uniforms was definitely the shoes. The neon orange really stuck out. After the game, the Cuse players said they really did like the uniforms. They thought they felt good and they looked cool. But Chris Joseph maybe summed it up best saying, hey, I'm ready to get back to the traditional orange and white.
Well, back to on the court, not what they're wearing. You know, it was another close one to the end. How did the players react to another tight game?
Well, these close games have become something pretty usual for Syracuse. You look back to last Monday against Louisville, Syracuse won by just 1 point. Even an ugly win over the weekend against Rutgers. So at the end of the game, the Syracuse players said once again they were happy they made the plays that they needed to make down the stretch to find a way to get the win. Now, Coach Boeheim said he'd rather see Syracuse win by 16, 20, 25 points the way they were back during the non-conference slate when they were shooting the ball better. But he said at the end of the day, this gets his team ready for the NCAA tournament because you're going to have close games in the tournament and you're going to have to make the plays at big situations. And so far this year, Syracuse has been able to do that in all but one of its close games this year.
Well, making those big plays at the end of these games have been the seniors. How did they feel about stepping up and being the heroes yet again?
Well, as has been the case in so many big games this season, the seniors stepped up again late, with Chris Joseph and Scoop Jardine scoring 7 straight points for Syracuse after South Florida had cut it to 1. After the game, Coach Boeheim said Chris Joseph's plays were the plays that won the game for Syracuse. And both Scoop and Chris said they want the ball late in the game. They've been there in all those situations before, and they're very comfortable with the ball at that time. Chris Joseph went as far as saying the other players on the team want the seniors to have the ball in these situations because they're comfortable with the ball, and they've been able to come through time and time again this season.
Well, thank you so much, Bill. Bill Spalding joining us from the Carrier Dome. But coming back in here, guys, what are your final thoughts on this game?
Well, a lot of talk going into this game was about the uniforms. We even hit on it here, but you know what? It doesn't matter if SU is wearing blue, orange, white, gray, or the original school colors of pink and pea green. You know what? At the end of the day, this Orange team this year is elite. And as to echo off of what Bill was just talking about, it comes down to the seniors like Chris Joseph and Scoop Jardine. And then after them, there's still other go-to players, whether it's going to be CJ Fair. The Orange just has so many different guys who can step up and make a play, not even just getting a basket, but with a block shot or a steal. Because tonight, the Orange really didn't play well, but still manages to find a way to win. And that's why they're one of only 2 teams in the country with only 1 loss this season.
Yeah, John, I'm going to agree with you. What I'd say from this game is that they are a national championship contending team. They're 18-0 at home this year. They were 17-0 when they won the national title back in 2003. But what I'm really going to take away is that gray is not Syracuse's color. I mean, the players, I don't know if they looked uncomfortable, but the whole media surrounding the game was talking about it. They were sweating through the jerseys. Listen, if you're going to have a third jersey color, make it navy or blue or something that the fans will like. Just not gray. Please, SU, never again.
Well, I, for one, I will be so happy if we never talk about these stupid jerseys ever again. I'm so sick of them. But that's it for now here at Orange Press Pass. Thank you for joining us. You can check out more at the sports blog at citrustv.net, or you can check us out on Facebook or Twitter. Again, USF loses to Syracuse. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a good night.